Hello and welcome to this little introductory video about clay extruders. Now, clay extruders are generally for polymer clay, but they can be used for metal clay as well. And I use them to create consistent and long coils of silver clay. And so coils of silver clay can be used for lots of different things like setting glass, setting gems, for decoration, for frames and so on. There's lots and lots of different reasons why you might want to make coils of silver clay. So extruders are really good for this, and I've got two, and I just wanted to talk to you through the difference between the two here. We've got this one here, which is a stainless steel. It's MAKINS clay extruder, and this one here is also a MAKINS clay extruder, but it is made out of aluminium. Now I have both of these, and I've used both of these for metal clay, but generally speaking I use the longer one for polymer clay and this one for metal clay. Now there's really no difference between the two in terms of how they work. However, there are obvious differences between the two when you look at them. So as I say, this one is made from aluminium and this one is made from stainless steel. This one has a shorter barrel and it's actually a thicker barrel as well, so it's slightly different. But in terms of performance, it doesn't actually make much of a difference. So I'll take this one away and show you this. So essentially it is just a tube, okay? It has two ends to it. So this one and this one, which comes, well, it comes apart, and this is how you get it. So we have a tube, we have the screw, and inside here, if I remove this, we have the kind of plunger, if you like. This is the plunger to plunge down the clay. So this stays in here pretty much all the time, and screw that on here like that. Okay, the clay goes in here, and we have a washer, rubber washer, and the cap. So that's what it comes with, and it also comes with a whole load of discs, and these look like this. Okay, so there's lots and lots of different shapes, which are great for, these are great for polymer clay. So there's lots of different types of shapes, you know, half moons, squares, triangles, there's hexagons and all sorts of other good things. The ones I tend to use for silver clay are these ones. As if by magic, these are circular ones, and they have various different sizes of circles here. So they range from tiny, so I would say that's probably about half a millimetre, up to about 4 or 5 millimeters. I think if you take this is about 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters wide. Okay, so they come in various sizes as well, and this is how we make the snakes. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to generally make one. I'm going to use a fairly slim one to save on the clay too. So setup is really easy here. I've got a little bit of Teflon sheet where I'm going to extrude my coils onto, so that I can lift it out and put it out the way of my working area. So I've screwed back the plunger a little bit, so I've got space for the clay to go in, and I'm going to set this up. So I don't use any badger balm or any release agent on anything. I don't find it tends to stick very much, so that's a good thing. I'm going to put the disc in, then take the rubber washer and put that in too, and then I'm going to take the clay. It's a good idea for this type of job that you want to use really well hydrated clay. So fresh clay out the packet's great, or you know, make sure that your clay is nice and hydrated. So just close on, screw it on nice and tight till it gets to the end, and it looks like a little bit like this. And then you start to twist. Now, keep your thing. I like to twist with my finger and just use the rod and move it around like this. The important thing is to make sure that you keep the pressure and the speed constant as you can to get a nice clean coil out. Otherwise it might go a little bit knobbly if you extrude it at a slower then faster pace and so on. So to make sure you get the best result, keep a nice even pressure. Now I'm going to adjust the camera angle a little bit so that I can stand up for this. Right, so using your finger if you want, it depends on how comfortable you feel, just start to twist. And what happens is when the plunger hits the clay, you'll start to feel a bit of resistance. So just start to then firmly and evenly extrude the clay like that. And I've not got a lot of clay in there, so it's kind of, there we go, so that's extruded. Now, this here is a little bit of a bubble in the clay, so I haven't done that properly when I've kind of put the clay in and rolled it up in my hand. I haven't put that in properly. However, that's not too much of a problem. I'll just cut it here with a knife. Right, now you can put it on your mat, and then you can take something to straighten. I like to use my slats, my rolling slats, but that's entirely up to you what you use. You can use rulers or something like that, so long as it's giving you a little bit of a chance to straighten out the edges like that. Okay, and then you can just leave them aside to dry as you would normally, and you've got some nice coils to use on your work. So once you've finished your coil, you can clean up your extruder, take off this and screw right to the end and take off the washer, and you'll have a little bit of clay kind of sitting in here. There's quite a lot of clay here, so just make sure that you take that and put it back in your pot. And then you can decide to take this off and it's quite hard to get this off easily, but you could do that and put it back in your pot as well, or you can just take this off. I tend to use let this dry and take it off because it's just easier. Because I'm handling it so much, it's drying out the clay and making it a little bit ratty, so I wouldn't put it back in my pot, but I would definitely put that in my waste pot. And then have a look around, and with a cocktail stick you can clean up the edges. It's entirely up to you whether you do this dry or wet. It depends whether you want to salvage the clay into lump form or whether you're happy to put it into your waste pot. Either's fine, it's just that it will be a little bit dry, as you can see here. I'm just going to unscrew the other end as well. And pull the plunger out. There's nothing really in the barrel. You can see there's a little bit there, but it's not very much. And then just take off the rest. And this is usually easier when it's wet, so I would urge you to do that, because it's you can go back and do it when it's dry, but it's much easier to get the clay out of the edges like that when it's when the clay is wet. Just scrape it on. See, all of this stuff can be used and put into your waste pot for rehydration at a later point. And it's a good habit to get into, to clean up your extruder after every time you use it, just so that you're ready for the next time, because there's nothing worse than coming in and seeing that you've got your extruder clean before you use it. I always find that quite demotivating. So there you have it. This stuff will go in my waste pot, here for later use, and that's how to clean the extruder. I hope that's been helpful.